Hope everyone is doing well. Heavy rain. Okay, let's wait until 2:05 for more people to come in. Then we start on time. By the way, you can request content as well. If you have any content you want to know about blockchain or cryptocurrency, you can just let me know. I'll do the content for you. Yeah.
Don't say online in 5 minutes.
Online what?
Online in 5 minutes.
In 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's do explainable.
We will start at 2:05. Wait a minute. Who else is not here?
Quite a lot of people.
Yeah, why? I don't get it. Why? Why do people pay and not turn up on time? Or maybe they think got recording, then they just, yeah, whatever. Mind blown. Okay.
See, usually now I'll be sleeping. Afternoon
It's raining. Can you hear the thunder? I just saw lightning.
Yeah, I can see lightning from my place.
Hey, man. If that's the case, if there's a record, never mind lah. Why don't we just start since it's recorded?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for coming today. Let me share my screen. See, desktop.
I'll mute myself. Okay.
Okay, screen sharing. So we will. Okay, no. Page to page. Okay, perfect. So today, right, is the fundamentals and the foundation of blockchain technology, and this is written and this content is created for business practitioners. What is this? Wait. Sorry, yeah. Okay. So whatever slides, the slides, right, are written with the intention to reach out to business practitioners. So basically, with these two slides, right, you can go networking, and it's everything you need to know for networking. Now, I just want to show you two more documents that are already in the Facebook group. One is this blockchain glossary. Basically, you have to know 100 terms. Everything inside here, right? You just need to know everything inside here to be able to network well, and people will think that you're some pro or expert. Then from there, right, you can build up your own portfolio and accumulate more knowledge from there. But all these 100 terms is like basic, and even if you're a complete beginner, if you know these 100 terms, you will not go wrong in networking. Okay. It's better than you don't know anything and then go networking. Then people will know that you don't know anything. But if you can sort of like use any of these 100 terms, I think it will give you a considerable advantage over other people. Yeah, and I gave examples also. I was like, how to use this term? You can actually go and look at it. Okay, today due to time constraint, right, what we will not be covering in this foundational course is the mining document. We will not be talking about mining. However, I've prepared content for you on blockchain mining. So you can actually take a look at it, what is mining, whether it is passé or not, whether it's still relevant or not. What is the thought process behind finding profitable coin and profitable, let me admit people, and profitable projects to actually do. So all these, right, you can actually read outside of today's 2 hours. And if you have any questions, please ask in the Facebook group. I am very happy to answer. In fact, I encourage everyone to ask questions because I want to build out the FAQ library so that next time I can use it to serve other students in 2021 next year. So all these are, mining is actually pretty important because mining is the mechanism that keeps the blockchain secure. So please have a look after our session today. If any question, just ask me. Okay, let me see how to use this. Okay, so that's right. Today, let's start with this video. I'm going to play it and let me know if everything is in order, okay? Yeah. There are subtitles.
这是一个被金钱控制的世界。我们创业到现在，为什么我们就是没有办法找到投资者？沙盒法案它也象征我们金融署全新的改变，我们将会选出最具有前瞻性的团队进到沙盒之中。闻到了吗？钱的香味啊！这个社会，你越有钱，就越不需要花钱，因为钱是向上流。跟我合作吧。从怎么开始
？In God we trust， 所有跟钱有关的秘密都是这一句话，而你要做的就是成为我们的新世界中被信仰的圣人。现在什么东西换上区块链都会方便很多。
最 smart， 玩越大越不会出事。
因为每个人只想要赚钱，我就要做的是创造一个新世界，不是去做这一群人的傀儡。梦想是需要妥协的，如果没有弄脏双手的话，要怎么完成梦想？
到底想要什么？在人吃人的社会，会不被人吃，就吃人的那一个。
明年的选举，我们台就会陪你。怎么样，没有？
Okay, so this video, right, oh crap, what happened? Sorry, let me reopen the thing. Reopen, close tabs. Okay, so this movie, right, is actually called The Last Thief. And it is actually a blockchain movie. So it was created in, I think, 2018. Yeah, let me go back to the Zoom. Okay, I will stop screen share. So, having watched the trailer, right? Shall we go one round of what you all think of the trailer and why do you think I'm showing it at the start of a foundation class? Gabriel, you want to start first?
Generate interest, I guess.
Or generate interest, or anything related to blockchain that you sort of, what's the one thing you thought that hits out at you after you watch it?
They talked a lot about how money is moved around, like the more risky it is, the safer it is, kind of concept, and that you can sell anything as long as you put the word blockchain on it.
Very good, very good. Yeah. So as you mentioned, which is what we actually see in real life, because blockchain is used to hype things, to generate interest, to get more money for any project you want. Okay, thank you, Gabriel. Dr. Sun, you want to go next?
Hello.
Dr. Sun, we cannot hear you. I think you are talking, right? Oh, I think the mic issue is the same as the last time we have the group. Dr. Sun will come back to you later, okay? Andre, you want to go next?
Actually, I like what they said. There was one part. One guy, he expected that we set up a company that the investors will straight away pump me money. The beginning part.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was some part that they say they assume that once we have blockchain technology, then you can all sorts of investments will come in.
Okay, very good. So it's like using blockchain to hype.
Yes,
well.
using blockchain to hype people to come in, and using people's greed to come in.
Okay, great. So just now you mentioned about people's greed, which is something I hope everyone keep in mind throughout the program, because greed is a very powerful motivation. Thank you, Andre. John, do you want to go next? John?
Yes, I think my first impressions of the trailer was, when the girl said, I have to eat someone. I have to be it's a cannibalistic kind of society when it comes to the blockchain environment. So that's the thing that's my takeaway. In fact, as you know, I know nothing of the blockchain and the cryptocurrency. So it's like what you mentioned, when you say greed, people, who doesn't want more money, you see? So the thing is that in the fashion in which you acquire it. So I remember when we talk about greed, that the thing that comes into mind is the iconic speech by Michael Douglas in Wall Street. When he said greed is good, greed works. So I guess, yeah, that's my takeaway.
Thank you so much, John. So there's one more point about, like, usually people who say greed is good will be for the capitalism ideology, which is actually opposite of, say, blockchain technology. Like blockchain technology, we are actually going for power to the masses, power to the people, returning of power to the people, decentralization, democratization of power. So it's something to keep in mind. So another point is that, is blockchain technology used as a subset of capitalism, or is it another ideology altogether? Okay, thank you. How about Brian? Brian, you need to unmute yourself. Brian. Oh no. Okay, wait. Good movie to watch. What's the one takeaway you sort of get from the trailer? Okay, while we wait for you to type. Okay, let's go to, the future is blockchain. Okay, great. Interesting. Okay, then Paul, what's the one takeaway you have from the trailer?
For me, I missed the trailer because by the time I logged in, I think it's almost finishing. So, but I'm quite surprised. You mentioned it's a Hong Kong movie.
Taiwan, actually. The director is Taiwanese. Directors are Taiwanese.
Oh, because I saw Zheng Ziwei as one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting that the so fast they can already make a movie about all this blockchain stuff. Yeah, maybe I should catch the movie.
It's actually a 2018 movie, and what happened is that we cannot catch the movie because it's not available online unless you get it off torrent, but it's also very hard to get off torrent. It only premiered in Taiwan, and I did ask the director before, like, hey, when are you like bringing it to Singapore? He was like, no, we are focusing on Zhonggang Tai, which is like Taiwan, Hong Kong, China. So they are not actually showing it in Singapore. So cannot watch the movie unless you go through torrent. Okay, great. Yep. Thank you so much for sharing. So this trailer is, I will share the link in the Facebook group, and please go. The reason why I showed it is because ultimately, why are we studying blockchain technology as business practitioners, right? It's because there's a lot of the motivation of greed is very powerful everywhere we see it. Once you're in the blockchain industry, it's part of your daily life already. So it's very important to be self-aware about it. And second part is that also note that there are a lot of stakeholders in the blockchain industry, and every single stakeholder, like you see in the trailer, is motivated by different things. So when next time you want to be in the blockchain industry, or you want to talk to blockchain people, be very aware rather of their motivations, because some people are just purely in it for money. Some are like maybe like 10% is in it for the ideology to create a new world. Then the rest is like maybe they are in it for the money, but not really big money. So it is very important to see who you're talking to and profile. Okay, great. So Let me share my screen again. We can start our lecture. And I think most people are in already. Okay, so okay, let me start with a quote by Vitalik. So Vitalik say, whereas most technologies tend to automate workers on the periphery doing menial tasks, blockchain automate away the center. Instead of putting the taxi driver out of job, blockchain puts Uber out of job and let the taxi drivers work with the customer directly. So what he is saying in this quote, right, is that blockchain technology actually get rid of the middleman. So the next question is, why do we want to get rid of the middleman? From the business perspective, it's like once you get rid of the middleman, both sides can actually, the customer side can have more cost savings, the business side can have more revenue because you don't have to share the revenue with the middleman. Let's take a step back. Like, why in the first place do we need middlemen? It's because of the lack of trust. It's like traditionally you need someone who, like, both parties feels that they can trust or have a reputation, then they can do the transaction. So what the main power of blockchain is that it allows two parties who don't know each other, who don't have information about each other, who maybe don't even trust each other, to conduct transactions in a safe, secure, and public manner. So this is the main core or the core value of blockchain technology. In whatever applications you see, they remove the middleman. Okay, then next slide, right? What is blockchain technology? It's actually a secure and shared records keeping system where each individual records, known as blocks, are linked together in a chain-like fashion. So people ask you, what is blockchain? You can just answer, it's a chain of blocks, and it is not a wrong definition. So each user of the data holds a copy of the records. So as I mentioned just now, blockchain technology is disruptive because it fundamentally solves the problem of mistrust between two parties. And someone is coming in. So it empowers complete strangers to transact with each other without going through a trusted middleman. Now, another thing you need to take note about blockchain technology, right, is that some projects, DeFi, decentralized finance project, or like even currently there are still ICO project going on, right? They actually might be misusing the word blockchain. So this definition is quite important. Like later we will talk about DLT, distributed ledger technology, and you will see how we'll talk about this project called CORDA. So Archie's Corda, right, is technically not a blockchain, but some people say it's a blockchain. Then the question is, why do some people say it's blockchain when it's not a blockchain? It goes back down to the definition. It's how once we have a strict definition, a lot of things are actually not blockchain, including Ripple. So you just need to be very aware of definition. Okay, so a brief history of blockchain technology. Of course, it's more complicated than 3 points, right? But these 3 points are things you need to know at the very, very, very foundation. So October 31st, 2008, this person called Satoshi Nakamoto, he actually released the Bitcoin white paper to the world. So blockchain technology made its public debut on a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, which is known as Bitcoin. So this is a documented fact. The thing is that before 2008, does blockchain technology exist? The answer is yes, it existed. And of course, there are also a lot of discussion on whether Satoshi is the first person who invented blockchain technology. The answer is no. It's just the perfect storm at 2008 because what happened then, we had the Lehman Brothers crisis. Next point is, did the Lehman Brothers crisis actually result in the blockchain white paper? I mean the Bitcoin white paper? The answer is no. It's just coincidental and it's a perfect storm. So it is the incident, the Lehman Brothers incident and the subprime mortgage crisis actually catalyzed the popularity of the Bitcoin white paper as people lost trust in the centralized banking system. Yeah, so this is something we need to take note of. Number 2, after publishing the white paper, Satoshi Nakamoto was active in the Bitcoin developer community till 2011. So thereafter, he handed over the Bitcoin core development to core developers, and then he disappeared. So right now, there are still discussion on who is Satoshi Nakamoto. Is he a person? Is he an entity? Is he a group of people? Nobody actually knows. The next question, the logical subsequent question is, why did he disappear? Why didn't he want like fame and like say publicity? There are a lot of reasons for it. One reason may be that with that much money that he holds, it might be dangerous to be recognized. Another reason is probably because of ideology. He really wants it to be decentralized. He doesn't want to distract. Like just now the trailer we watched, right? This lady was saying that you need like a god. You need a charismatic leader to drive the project. So my personal take is that Satoshi Nakamoto probably foresaw that, and he did not want to be the charismatic leader, because once we have the charismatic leader, it's not a decentralized system. So you can see this person, right, who wrote the Bitcoin white paper, he is really motivated by the ideology and the power of decentralization. That's why he vanished. Like nobody ever heard of him again. Okay, just a side note, right? The Bitcoin white paper is very elegantly written. There are some technical parts, there are some mathematical parts. However, the whole paper is on human nature, and we will look at it closely in the tutorial session. Okay, number 3, the blockchain technology has since developed into one of the outstanding technologies with great potential to impact every single industry, from educational to manufacturing institutions. So we have also witnessed the emergence of ICO, IEO, SEO, and very recently enterprise blockchain and DeFi use cases. Okay, this is an important point to note. Blockchain does not equal Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the first widely popularized use case of blockchain technology, but it is not equal to blockchain. Blockchain has a lot of other applications apart from cryptocurrency. However, Bitcoin is highly speculative, and hence it accelerated the mainstream adoption and recognition of blockchain technology. So this is something that we need to be very careful of as well. Okay, then the next one is, this is very important. Ideology behind blockchain technology is the ideology of decentralization. So the next question is, what is decentralization? A decentralized environment provides a trustless environment for all stakeholders to conduct transactions. There's no need for a middleman. So this arrangement provides skin in the game for every stakeholder and less reliance on possibly corrupt top management and better alignment to make a project work. So skin in the game, of course, is very important because we will not trust someone who has not put their time, money, resources in a particular project. And we will not trust the advice of such a person. So for anything related to blockchain technology and decentralization, it is about alignment of self-interest, which is also something very powerful because we believe fundamentally that people will not do things to harm themselves or their interests. So when people's self-interests are aligned using in accordance to blockchain technology, it actually creates a very powerful project. So number 2, something to note is that the concept of decentralization is not a technical concept. It can, after we will see that what is decentralization from the technical perspective. However, this concept of decentralization has traditionally been used in business, military, governance, and management. So number 3, blockchain technology embraces decentralization by design. Because of decentralization, there is no more need to have any middle person in the transaction. So anyone can actually compete to be part of the decision-making authority according to a consensus mechanism. This anyone can compete, right? Is basically a node. So if you want to be a node and you want to have a power in the future project, or you want to vote in the project, you can actually accumulate the coins. Proof of stake allows you to actually vote and in accordance to how many coins you have. So you can actually compete to have a say in the project. And this aligns very beautifully with the skin in the game kind of paradigm. And this is like basically, if you want bigger say, you put in more resources. So it works very, very elegantly in the decentralization model. Okay, next, right? The 6 blockchain features and benefits. these 6 terms, right, you probably have to memorize it because you keep hearing about it. And frankly speaking, you don't want people to smoke you in these 6 areas. Like, it is a very popular kind of tactic for public relations practitioners to actually just confuse people with these terms without. And so if you do not know the strict definition of it, it's easy to be confused. Therefore, we are going to go one by one about the strict definition of these terms. 1, immutability. So 2 points to note here. Immutability means that once records are made on the blockchain, no further edits are possible. Having said that, theoretically, there is a possibility that edits can be made. However, from a cost-benefit analysis, the cost of doing it is so high that nobody will want to do so. Okay, later we will talk more about the precise tag, but the general idea is this, is the hash. So blockchain, right, because it's a chain of blocks, right? So your second block is actually linked to the first block by a hash. So the first block will end with a hash, let's say the hash ending with the numbers 1, 2, 3. Your second block has to start with a hash that has a number 1, 2, 3. So if I want to change my first block, right, the starting hash of the second block will be changed. So let's say my blockchain has around 100 blocks, and I want to modify the 51st block. So from your 51 to 100, all your hash need to be changed. Because it's cryptography, right? So whatever data edits you make into the hash, into the block, the hash will automatically be changed. So to do that, right, you need a lot of money, and you need to get the consensus to actually approve every single block after 51. So this is very expensive, and it is possible to do it, but you need a lot of money. So technically, from a cost-benefit economic perspective, it is not wise to do it. Therefore, we say that blockchain is immutable because of this reason. Okay, so let me give you an example. The Bitcoin blockchain, if any single user wants to edit or alter the transaction data on previous blocks, it would require considerable computing power according to the proof of work consensus. Proof of work is part of the Bitcoin blockchain. So for the consensus, it's actually mathematical. For more detailed understanding of the consensus, read the white paper. We are going to read it together, and in Wednesday tutorial, we will go through the white paper. You can, frankly speaking, right, there are a lot of crypto projects around, there are a lot of white paper. But Bitcoin and Ethereum white paper is the foundation and core, so you need to read the white paper, because you need to read the white paper and be convinced that it is not a technical paper. That is the beauty of Bitcoin white paper. It is not a technical paper. Bitcoin white paper is a paper on human nature. So the elegance of it is that it uses maths and alignment of interest to actually motivate people to popularize the idea, which is why the paper is so elegant. It is not a technical paper, even though there's maths inside. Okay, so the cost is way higher than the benefit. So no rational party will be motivated to actually edit the blockchain. And hence we say blockchain is immutable. Technically, so remember, technically it is possible to do so, but economically it's not possible to do so. And after you realize that, right, then you realize that actually blockchain is not about tech. It's more about economics. It's more about how you align interests. And after you realize that, a lot of things will change, like how you make money, how you put money, and how you accumulate resource in the blockchain space. Everything will change. Okay, second point, distributed. This means that all parties or nodes to the blockchain agree to a single source of truth, and to do so without going through a centralized authority. So we think about our world today, right? Everything, most things in life or in our society, we have to go through a centralized authority. So let's say people get married, they have to go ROM to get registered. That is centralized authority. If you need a loan, you go to the bank, and that is the centralized authority. Government print money like crazy, quantitative easing leading to inflation, you have to go through MAS, which is a centralized authority. So for blockchain, it is distributed. So every node will agree on what is the single source of truth, and hence it's distributed. This is one of the features of blockchain. Peer-to-peer. So blockchain tech enables the transfer of values between peers. In the context of cryptocurrencies, a blockchain can create crypto as an incentive to its miners who validate the transactions and make the blockchain more secure. So peer-to-peer transfer, of course, the first thing we think of is BitTorrent. And that's probably why like Bitcoin is called Bitcoin, because BitTorrent is also peer-to-peer. So there's a history behind even the name. Transaction verification. So all transactions recorded on the blockchain are verified via a consensus mechanism, which differs from coin to coin, cryptocurrency to cryptocurrency. So this is defined as a predetermined set of rules which all nodes have agreed upon prior, and only valid transactions according to the consensus are recorded on the block. Smart contracts. So in Ethereum blockchain, smart contracts are special features that can be automated. So these programs are coded on the blockchain network and help execute a business transaction whenever certain conditions are met. So of course, they increase the efficiency, or they decrease the risk of human errors in the business transaction. So as smart contracts get more and more advanced and popular, and also advanced meaning that you can record more data on your smart contract and have it executed automatically, I mean immediate execution. So you save a lot of time, and if all goes well, you can cut the middle person a lot. Personally, I estimate this to be a normal part of society in maybe 7 to 9 years. So it's very exciting when that happens. Something you can think about and see and just monitor, because once this mechanism is popularized, there will be a lot of things in life, in daily routine that will be changed. We will not be talking to human beings anymore. A lot of middle people will go out of job. So that is something we want to think of. Okay, so here, right, is an example of traditional contracts versus smart contracts. Let's take a while to go through it. So traditional contracts, right, the time taken is very long, 1 to 3 days. Let's say you want to do remittance. Let's say for a domestic worker want to do remittance from Singapore to Philippines. Maybe the traditionally remittance is like 3 days, but with smart contract is almost instantaneous with the, let's say, Stellar Lumens blockchain, right? Stellar Lumens is created for the sole purpose of remittance. And well, Stellar Lumens, you can, I think if I'm not wrong, it's less than 10 seconds. It's not even minutes. So smart contracts, depending on how complicated it is, it can take it can reduce the time from like 1 to 3 days to minutes or even seconds. This is the power. So again, the second point is manual remittance. Then smart contract is automatic because that is smart contract. That's in the definition of smart contract. Third, escrow necessary for traditional contracts. Let's say if you want to go Fiverr or go to Upwork to outsource your certain tasks that you have, you need escrow. So escrow is like after the person submit the work, then if it's satisfactory, then you can release the escrow. So escrow is basically I put in money first. It's held by a third party, centralized party, and when both parties agree that the job is completed, then the third party will release the payment. That is escrow. So for smart contract, escrow may not be necessary because it is coded into the contract about what kind of transaction and agreement A and B have. Then traditional contracts is expensive because you need to pay for the middleman as well. You need to take into consideration what kind of cost is involved when things go south. Whereas for smart contracts, because it is embedded and coded into the contract already, right? The person who approve is the person A. So if A and B trade or have a transaction, it is party A who approves the payment. It's not any middle person. So because of that, a lot of money is saved, a lot of value is saved, and basically it's up to A and B to negotiate. And definitely the pie, I mean, a pie that divided among 3 people versus a pie that is divided among 2 persons, if assuming that both parties can negotiate well, the pie that's divided among 2 persons, it is like more value to each party. Okay, traditional contracts also require a physical presence, a wet signature, meaning you have to physically sign. So a smart contract don't need, you need a digital signature. There are a lot of kind of digital signature. Multi-sig and single signature, you can find under the glossary, like this one. That is already on the Facebook group. So it's already defined. So please have a look. Okay. Then traditional contract lawyers are necessary, especially as a witness or witnesses. And smart contract lawyers may not be necessary. Having said that, it's important to note that currently, right, there is not a lot of regulations regarding smart contracts. So you might also want to take note. It's still like evolving. Like I think it will take 5 more years before it's like stable and agreeable to the legal parties. However, COVID-19 really accelerated this process because a lot of people are going digital right now, and people have less resistance to digitalization and digital transformation. So maybe from 5 years we can see the cycle is cut down to maybe 3 years. Okay. So the next one is like in a practical use case, like how does it relate to us like day to day? So this is an example of how a smart contract might work when it comes to insurance policies. So firstly, we have a predefined contract. Okay, let's talk about the traditional insurance payout first. So you sign the contract with your insurance agent. Then let's say there's a fire that occurs. So the next step is that after the fire occurs, you call your insurance agent and you say that, okay, this fire thing happened. So can you help me do the claim? So your insurance agent will do the claim, and then the insurance company will actually give you back the settlement. Whereas in the smart contract, we don't even need the insurance agent anymore. So the predefined contract is the terms of the policies agreed by all counterparties and then hard-coded into the smart contract and cannot be changed without the parties knowing. So the parties in this case will be insurance company and the end user. So in the event that, say, a fire happened in the house, the fire actually triggers the insurance policy execution. So once it's triggered, the smart contract policy is automatically executed based on the pre-agreed terms. And remember, when something is changed, the parties will actually be notified. And then last but not least, because of the trigger, right, then and every single condition is fulfilled, settlement will be made automatically, maybe linked from the company's bank account to actually the user's bank account. So all these, right, you don't need the role of an insurance agent. Because, okay, why I chose this example, right, is because when I was doing survey for this program, there are 2 insurance agents who were actually worried that blockchain technology might disrupt their industry. Answer is yes, it will disrupt their industries because of smart contract. However, will it disrupt immediately? The answer is no, because smart contract is not so accepted by society yet. People don't even know about it. And second part is it's not that advanced to have so many details of so many information yet. Last but not least is privacy also, because people's personal data like finance data and how much you earn, right, it might be sensitive info to a lot of people, so they might not feel that it's safe to actually put it on an immutable blockchain. So that is the context. Okay. Yeah, let me see. There's a notification here. Today is the 12th anniversary of the Bitcoin white paper. This is what they. Oh my God. Yeah, you're right, John. Yeah. Okay. Wow. I didn't realize that. So it's actually significant. Wow. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Right now, right, do you all have any questions? You all can unmute yourself or you can type in the chat, because whatever we have gone through so far is really very fundamental. You need to know it. Yeah. Any questions? No? Okay. At any point in time, if you have questions, we have a question session at the end of this lecture, or you can just put on the Facebook group. You can just type. Yeah. Okay. Let me continue. This one, distributed ledger technology, right? DLT. DLT is something that is very small, very hype, basically. People love using DLT and blockchain interchangeably. Of course, DLT, when you say it, is not as sexy as blockchain. So basically, as we watched in the trailer just now, you say whatever blockchain, your value actually goes up, which is actually true. There was this in 2017, right? Someone actually sold Long Island iced tea in a pub. Then I think he added the word blockchain in front of it. So blockchain Long Island iced tea, and then it sold better. I'll give you all the link later. So it's really a bit nonsense. Okay, so what is distributed ledger technology? Let's get the definitions right. A distributed ledger is a general term describing shared database. So remember, a blockchain is basically also a database, and a distributed ledger is basically a shared database. So the participant at each node of the network can access the recordings shared across the network and can own an identical copy of each transaction. And most enterprises use a centralized ledger, which is more prone to cyber attacks and fraud, since it has a single point of failure. So your hackers, right, can just hack that one point of failure. As blockchain moves into the enterprise areas, this is set to change. Okay, so point number 3, right? Just take a moment to read it again and then think about it. So if you want to make a lot of money, right, in the next 10, 20, 30 years, basically, we already know so far that enterprises are using centralized ledger, and next week we will talk about applications of blockchain in enterprise as well. So as we move towards enterprise application, right, it might get decentralized if they start to use blockchain. And we also know that blockchain is not very, it's only starting for enterprise use cases, and it probably needs like 10 more years or 15 years to mature, even 20 years, even with COVID. So if you think about it, right, if you have one industry to invest in for the traditional stock, you want to buy stock and shares of the particular industry, right? What will you invest in? Anyone want to guess? We put in the chat. Anybody? Data center. Okay, good guess, good guess. Yes. The one IPO that is very anticipated is this IPO called Snowflake. So Warren Buffett, right? He actually put in a lot of money on Snowflake, this IPO. Sorry, Andre, I just saw your question. I'll reply it later. Okay, so actually the answer is cybersecurity. Anything cybersecurity can buy on. Yeah, you do your own due diligence lah. But cybersecurity as an industry, and if you were to invest in the stock, right, there is no really a big downside to it. You won't really lose a lot of money, even if it goes south. Yeah, so think about it, because now we know that centralized systems are used by enterprises. Even as more and more enterprise move to the cloud might not be distributed also. So it's still a single point of failure. So no matter what, right, the new safe haven is actually cybersecurity. So if you go and buy stock for cybersecurity, it's generally safer. Okay, let me answer Andre's question. How will blockchain and crypto work when there's disruption or temporary shutdown in electricity or EMP shockwave? Just like the movie Pacific Rim, robots that are electronic based got shut down by the, okay. If it's temporary shutdown, it will still continue to work because other nodes. Okay, so your question is basically that what if one node fails, what will happen to the blockchain consensus system? If one node fails, it's still okay. They will just wait for the electricity to resume again in the node, and meanwhile, it still continue because the one node, as long as one node cannot be 51% part of the consensus. So the blockchain consensus will still continue working. The core concept here you want to take note of is the 51% say voting or consensus needed to make the single source of truth. So the answer is it will still continue to work. Hope that answers the question. Okay, let's go on. So next question is, does the DLT equal to blockchain? So a lot of time DLT and blockchain are terms that are used interchangeably. So something you know is all blockchains are DLT, but all distributed ledgers are not necessarily blockchain. So one example, very, very popular one is Archie's Corda for enterprise usage. So Corda and Ripple, right, are DLT that are used in the financial service industry. Something you know is that not everyone agree that Ripple is a blockchain, but we don't talk about it today. The thing is that Corda, some people might say that Corda is actually a blockchain. By our definition that blockchain is a chain of blocks, Corda is actually not a blockchain because of how they organize the data. So Corda stores data contiguously instead of sorting data in the blocks. So this means, right, that it's actually a live approval. Corda does not periodically batch up transactions needing confirmation into a block and confirm them at one go. So it confirms each transaction in real time. So because it does not sort information into a block, right, it is not a blockchain. It's DLT lah, it's not blockchain. Okay, so now we go into the technical part, tech make simple, how blockchain works. Structure of every single block, right, you will definitely see this. You'll see previous hash. Okay, this one I'm talking about the genesis block of a blockchain, which is the first block. So because it's the first block, right, the previous hash is actually 0. Okay, then the next one you have timestamp. The timestamp, let's say you have Sunday, 25th October at 2:30. Then you have transaction and other data. I transferred 8 Bitcoin to Andrew today. Then you have the hash, which is automatically generated by the cryptography. And then you have the nonce. Nonce is a random number that is unique to the block. Okay, key definitions of a block in a blockchain. Previous hash. A hash is a function that converts an input of numbers and letters into an encrypted output of a fixed length. So a hash is created using algorithm and is essential to blockchain management in cryptocurrency. A previous hash is the hash of the previous block. So a hash of previous block must be followed by the starting hash of the next block. Number 2, nonce. In cryptography, a nonce is an arbitrary number that can be used just once in cryptographic communication. So nonce is actually this one. The 24452 is your nonce in every block. 3, nodes. Nodes form the infrastructure of a blockchain. So blockchain nodes are responsible for acting as a communication point that may perform different functions. So these nodes are also able to transmit information about transaction and block within the distributed network of computers using a blockchain protocol. So nodes, anybody can apply to be a node. You don't need, with so far the advancement in the technology, it need not be like you need a mining rig to actually be a node. You can just use your laptop as a node, or you can use your headphone as a node. So it becomes very, very easy. Like, so for, I think millennials actually benefit a lot because the barrier to entry is actually very low to enter the blockchain space and to be involved in cryptocurrency. Number 4, Merkle tree, a way of organizing large amounts of data to make it more straightforward to process. Then you have Merkle root. Merkle root is a simple mathematical way to verify the data on a Merkle tree. So Merkle roots are used in cryptocurrency to, someone entering. Okay. Merkle roots are actually used in cryptocurrency to make sure that data blocks pass between peers on a peer-to-peer network are whole, undamaged, and unaltered. So it's usually in your block header. Block header is actually where I wrote the yellow part where I wrote Genesis block, right? Inside is also a block header, which we will talk about it later. So timestamp. A timestamp is a sequence of characters or encoded information identifying when a certain event occurred, usually giving date and time of day and accurate to a small fraction of a second. So every block, there'll be a timestamp to make it affect and not an opinion that, okay, at this point in time, event A happened, and it is a public and unchangeable record. So structure of a blockchain is like that. You have block 1, block 2, block 3, and until infinite. So so basically this diagram, right, something to note is your current hash. So let's say your first block, which is a Genesis block, has a current hash of AB12C3, right? Your next block must start with the previous hash of AB12C3. So hash are automatically generated through cryptography. So if your content of block 1 change, right, or content of block 2 change, right, if content of block 2 change, right, then basically your content of your hash of block 3 will change, because your current hash of block 2 is your previous hash of block 3, and block 3 must start with the previous hash. So this is how blockchain technology is immutable. So a blockchain is a data structure that's made up of blocks of transactions. So blocks are linked to each other using the previous hash of the hash of the previous block, which is called the previous hash. Okay, so next we need to talk about the consensus mechanism, because consensus mechanism is how all your nodes will agree on a single source of truth. So imagine a world where there is no central authority to make the decision on your behalf. Somehow all nodes must work together based on ideology or based on a set of rules, right, to actually reach consensus and to have the single point of truth. Like, who is to say what is correct? So in this situation, we need something like a consensus mechanism. So I'll take a step back, right? It's also very important to note that in the blockchain space, there are a lot of gamers, and there is a correlation between people who start blockchain companies and gamers, because precisely of the concept of consensus mechanism. Once you know the rules, right, you can play the game well. That is basically it. So consensus mechanism is a set of rules that are taken by all nodes in a blockchain protocol to agree on a proposed state of value. So essentially, the consensus protocol makes sure that every new block that's added to the blockchain is the one and only version of truth that's agreed by all the nodes in the blockchain. Will there be malicious nodes around? Answer is yes. So sometimes there can be evil nodes around that distort the information. However, if the consensus mechanism is sound, the consensus mechanism should already take into consideration what if there is evil nodes, because there will always be. And the project owner should always aim to expand the number of nodes to make the consensus mechanism stronger and the whole protocol more secure. This is the reason why. The more nodes you have, right, the lower the risk of any attack. Okay, number 2, integrity of nodes. So a critical requirement that no node can make the decision more than once in a single consensus cycle. That means if there are 10 people, okay, let's say right now there are 9 people in this group. So I cannot vote twice. This is the meaning of integrity. So, or I cannot vote 100 times, because what's the point when there's 9 people and each of you guys get 1 vote each and I have 100 votes? That does not make sense as well. So this is the meaning of integrity of nodes. Number 3, termination. All honest nodes must eventually terminate execution of the consensus process and eventually reach a decision on whether or not to post the data on blockchain. So this is the termination. Number 4, validity. The value of data that is eventually posted on the blockchain must be agreed by all honest nodes, and it must be the same as the initial value proposed by at least one honest node. Number 5, Byzantine fault tolerance. So Byzantine fault tolerance refers to the ability of the blockchain protocol to continue operating without interruption when one or more of its nodes fail. So the consensus mechanism should therefore be able to withstand the presence of faulty or malicious nodes. So this is related to just now Andre's that question, right? Like, what if some nodes fail due to lack of internet or electricity? By design, the consensus mechanism should already take this into consideration, and not like after the node fail, then say, oh shit, what should we do? In the first place, they already take this into consideration. I think the main beauty of blockchain industry is that people seem to be able to accept the not so nice side of human nature, like greed, they seem to accept it. Like if you talk to the blockchain practitioners or business people, they already sort of accepted it somehow. So instead of like feeling ashamed or like wanting to change greed, they actually harness it to ensure the success of their project, which is something I found very beautiful, even in a warp sense. So you can think about how you want to process this information and how you want to use it to your advantage or use it to serve you well. Okay, yeah, JIT is accepted already. Yeah, so let's see. Okay. So how blocks form a blockchain? So every time a new block is created, the transactions are reconfirmed. So the newly created block becomes part of the ledger. So in the next transaction, the next block will cryptographically link back to the block via hash. So when that happens, the transaction gets its second confirmation while the block gets its first confirmation. So I've written down the step for you. So let's say user initiates a transfer of value, send 3 Ethereum from A to B on Ethereum blockchain network. So node process this transaction with a digital signature, which is the private key. So for the transaction to happen, some logic of transfer of value is needed, such as your source and destination address, means you need A address and B address. You need the consensus mechanism and you need other validation information. So step 2, the transaction is pushed to peers to validate using a preset criteria. So usually more than one node is used to verify the transaction. Definitely more than one node because you want the whole protocol to be robust. So step 3, once the transaction is validated, is confirmed and included in a block, which is then propagated into the network. So this is basically the 3 steps to how the block will form a blockchain. So it's pretty secure, you just need a lot of nodes. Okay, so now is the time to ask questions. If there are no questions, we take a 10 minutes break. Any questions? Okay, then we take a 10 minutes break. Let's come back at 3:08. Would that be okay? And after we all come back, we will go through what is crypto assets. I understand it's a bit heavy because a lot of definitions involved, but trust me, once you are familiar with definition, it will be very easy for you already. This class is foundation class, so it has to be about definition so that you know who is trying to smoke you or trying to do some hype to their projects once you are familiar with definition. Yeah, so just bear with it for a while. Okay, so come back at 3:08. That'd be good. Stop share. I will mute myself and I will turn on my camera at around Okay, great. It's 3:08 now. So let me continue to share screen. Great. So now we will talk about crypto assets and what it is about, and also what kind of implications it have on society and businesses. So first, let's go by definition first. What is a cryptocurrency? A cryptocurrency is a virtual currency used mainly as a medium of exchange. It can also be, seen as a system of money which uses cryptography to secure and verify transactions. Like fiat money, cryptocurrency can also be seen as a unit of measurement. So naturally, the next question is what's the difference between cryptocurrency and digital currency? Like we have the C group, right? Like Shopee, they have their own wallets. A lot of e-commerce, they have their own wallets. Those are using mostly digital currency, not cryptocurrency. The core difference is in the second point, where you can see that cryptocurrency uses cryptography to secure and verify transactions. Digital currencies are centralized systems, so they do not use blockchain. Notably, right, there is this scam project called OneCoin, which scam a lot of people when they are using digital currency and not cryptocurrency. So this OneCoin, right, is actually a digital currency. There is a centralized system. There's no blockchain at all, but they advertise themselves as a cryptocurrency just to get the money of a lot of people. And they operate as a multi-level marketing model. So a lot of things can be avoided if, let's say, the people who were scammed, if they had understood the simple definition of cryptocurrency, which is cryptography must be involved, the blockchain must be publicly, the transactions must be publicly available and can be confirmed. So don't underestimate definitions. Definitions are sometimes very crucial when it comes to evaluating projects. So the next part about definition that I want to address is that if, let's say, I say a project is blockchain and the consensus mechanism doesn't seem to be very distributed, is it still a blockchain? So these are questions to think about because the term blockchain is very high. So when in doubt, always go back to the strictest definition and then rationalize your own opinion from there. Sometimes people are not rational. Like you just look at the decentralized finance situation today. It's just crazy, and like people are not rational. People are motivated by emotions when they do speculation. Okay, so next point we want to talk about is the issue of double spending. Why do we want to record monetary transactions on blockchain? It's because we want to avoid the issue of double spending. So double spending is one of the most pressing problems that any payment network has to solve. The key is to prevent possible fraudulent techniques of users being able to spend the same amount twice. So to solve this problem, we use a trusted third-party central server which keeps record of monetary balance. This method requires an authority which controls your fund and also have your personal details. This is very interesting. I'll post the link later. I think 2 days ago, there was this article on Grab. This 18-year-old student basically got away with $6,000 value worth of free Grab rides because of this double spending problem. He basically hijacked the system. Basically, I think what he did was that he used a debit card that has no money. So at the point in time when they actually charged Grab, right, there was some money in his debit account. But when the amount was posted by the bank, like maybe 3-4 days later, there's no more money in the debit account. So within these 3-4 days, between the time he took the Grab ride and the time the bank posted the transaction, posted means like the merchant Grab actually claimed the money from the bank, is he just emptied his account. So he did this for $6,000 worth of value of Grab. So this is a double spending problem now. So basically, with blockchain technology, we get rid of it. So without blockchain technology, the bank has to ensure that there's no double spending problem by having your fund and your personal details. So in this case, in the Grab case, right, the central authority is actually Grab. It's not really the bank. So Grab basically has to ensure that there is enough money in his account, and they have to ensure that between the time when the guy actually took the cab and the time the money is posted by the bank, right, they have to ensure that, okay, there's enough money for them to deduct. And if there's not enough money, they can actually post a negative on his account, so that next time he loads money in, Grab has the right to take the money back. Yeah. So, I mean, right now we are using a centralized third party to actually ensure that there's no double spending problem. So precisely because the centralized entity is subjected to human errors and sometimes possibly corruption, the whole system suffers from vulnerability and great shocks. So if your central party gets into some problem, right, the whole system will be in shock. So the failure and the possibility of corruption of the centralized financial system might strongly explain the subprime mortgage crisis in 2008, where economies and societies were subject to adverse selection and moral hazard. So adverse selection basically means that people with higher risk they have nothing to lose, so they will take riskier options. And moral hazard is that after the transaction happens, people who have the incentive that means difference in incentive. Let's say I'm the salesperson. My objective is to maximize sales. So basically, I will actually, my interest is not aligned with yours. Let's say you want to buy, let me give an example. Let's say someone wants to go to the shopping center to buy cosmetics. So as a salesperson, I might sell the lady the most expensive cosmetics that is not suitable for skin color, and which is different from the consumer wanting to buy a cosmetic that is suitable for her skin color. So there's this conflict of objective, which is moral hazard. So we need to be very, very careful of that. Then because of the subprime mortgage crisis, right, a lot of people think that Bitcoin is a response to the global financial crisis. The answer is no. Bitcoin is not a response. Okay, I shouldn't impose. This is my personal opinion. Like, I do not personally think that Bitcoin is a response to the global financial crisis in 2008. Yes, the white paper was released in 2008, but I believe it's a perfect storm. So saying that it's a response, right, is an insult to the intelligence of the Bitcoin white paper, which you guys will read. So let me show you a quote by this professor. Professor David actually said, Bitcoin happened to be launched in 2009, but it was, when he said happened to be launched, it's not the white paper. White paper was made available in 2008. Launched by what he meant was that made popular, made known to the world. But it was the accumulation of decades of attempt to create a digital currency on a peer-to-peer basis. So the first usage of cryptography, right, actually dated back to 1991, when it was started. The history was actually started as a notary context. So cryptographers wanted a verifiable immutable record to actually create a set of laws, a set of legal documents that have timestamp. So that was actually the first use case of blockchain technology. But the more popularized concept is actually through Bitcoin. So why I want to raise this question, right, is that a lot of times in cryptocurrency space and in the blockchain space, timing is very important. A lot of people underestimate timing. Yeah, because Bitcoin, when global financial crisis happened, it was the perfect storm. So when the white paper was released, people actually could understand what the beauty of the white paper is, because they already saw the pain point. The pain point is that centralized systems and centralized financial systems are already corrupt, and hence they appreciate the alternative. So without this pain point, right, I don't think the Bitcoin white paper will be as popular as it is today, or well accepted as it is today. And probably the Bitcoin core developers will not be able to believe in the ideology and then contribute to the development of the project. So next, what do people do with cryptocurrency? This one is, I've listed 3 functions for your consideration. So first is purchase of goods and services. Think of it as a prepayment. So yeah, in this class, we have some classmates who are doing ICO soon. So it falls under number 1 for AppD's coin, purchase of goods and services. So now let us go into Bitcoin first. So interestingly, Bitcoin can be used to pay for a whole range of products like hotel, flights, app, jewelry, computer parts, and even college degrees. So there's also a rapid increase in the number of crypto ATMs, which is located in the world. There are several Bitcoin ATMs in Singapore, one in Central Mall. Do you all know Jared Law? Okay, right. Okay, because Jared Law is the first guy who brought in Bitcoin ATM into Singapore. Yeah. So he is currently part of Access Singapore and really contributing to the blockchain space. Jared has a very interesting story because at that point they wanted to do fintech / blockchain, and then there was infighting in the company, leading the co-founders to sue each other. So it was very dramatic. Yes, and we will expect a lot of drama in blockchain space because I guess once the alignment of interest is not there, drama will start. So anyway, something very exciting is that PayPal announced recently in October that it will soon allow users to buy and sell cryptocurrency on its app. It will also eventually allow users to use their crypto to make purchases at over 26 million merchants that accept PayPal. This is mind-blowing because the function of purchase of goods and services now like Bitcoin, Ethereum, they are not just like game currency. They can actually be used to purchase actual things. Like as long as you accept PayPal, you can use Ethereum and Bitcoin to purchase goods and services, which is very revolutionary. Okay, number 2, speculation and investment. So as a whole, the market capitalization of cryptocurrency soared by more than 10,000% since mid-2013. Dominant coin is Bitcoin. Year 2017, Bitcoin share in the crypto market has reduced from 90% to around 40%. Will it continue to reduce even further? Answer is yes. So the second most valued cryptocurrency is Ethereum and has also recorded the fastest rise in the history of any cryptocurrencies. Since May 2016, its value has increased by more than 2,700%. So why is this so? It's because Ethereum has smart contracts, and smart contracts automates the middleman away, and that is in power. So if you look at Ethereum, it's very interesting also because Vitalik, right, who is the co-founder of Ethereum, he actually really firstly read the Bitcoin white paper and was so convinced about the ideology and the elegance of the white paper that he actually started Ethereum. So initially, how his blockchain journey started was that he was a contributor to the Bitcoin magazine and he was paid in Bitcoins. And he was so inspired as like 18-year-old then that he started his own project. Okay, but speculation investment, you always have a caveat. Cryptocurrencies are high risk investment and are highly and are partly unregulated. And regulation is really a mess because some financial authorities will tell you that, okay, ideally we want it to be like XYZ. Then the implementation and the enforcement of the regulation will probably in 3 to 5 years. This is always repeating. You look at exchanges, it's the same thing. You look at things like security exchanges, it's also the same thing. So usually it is the regulation part that is executed in 3 to 5 years that will really harm a lot of companies. And also at the same time, because the execution is in 3 to 5 years, right, there will be a lot of scam companies in this 3 to 5 years, which is why I say in the blockchain space, timing is very important because of the time lag in regulation. So once you see a window of opportunity, once you miss it, it's just gone forever. Okay, number 3, remittance. Cryptocurrency offer a great alternative for people who send and receive remittance. So this because remittance fees are charged by the cryptocurrency is a mere fraction of what would otherwise have been by the traditional wire transfers. So cryptocurrency can also allow transactions to be completed almost instantaneously instead of days. So as I mentioned just now, one cryptocurrency that's focused on remittance is actually Stellar Lumens. So Stellar Lumens is actually started by one of the core developers behind Ripple. So what happened? What happened then was that in Ripple, right, the core developer fought with the co-founder, and then he decided to just leave to start Stellar Lumens. And I mean, this guy is not. I mean, this guy, even though he's a developer, he actually has a lot of business sense as well. Even Mt. Gox was coded by this guy, the founder of Stellar Lumens. So yeah, it's important to have business sense more than technical coding skills, because once you see it, a lot of value can be generated. Okay. So at this point, I want to caution people because there's always the risk of leaving cryptocurrencies on exchange. So there have been many instances of crypto exchanges being hacked. So Bithumb was hacked in June 2018. And then recently we have KuCoin. KuCoin has an office in Singapore. And then, I mean, the recently means like 25th of September, they announced that it was hacked. So a sum of USD 31 million was stolen from Bithumb. But the exchange promised all these users that it will compensate them from its reserve. For KuCoin, right, 204 million USD was stolen and later recovered. Whenever we see or hear that a crypto exchange is hacked, it's usually an insider's job. And in news release or when talking to media, the founders will never tell you how the exchange is hacked and who is the person behind it. However, we usually know that it's an insider job because certain information cannot be divulged so easily. So you can see the hack exchange, amount stolen. So Coincheck was hacked. Coincheck is like this Japanese app. They have an app, they have a website as well. It was hacked in 2018. Mt. Gox was hacked also, 473 million in a very, very early stage. And what happened was that the CEO, who's a female lady, oh my God, okay, a lady, and she was under 30 then. There was so much pressure to the exchange being hacked, right? And they did not recover the money. She committed suicide because of that. So it was very tragic because in the 1 week before she committed suicide, she actually entertained a technician. She invited a technician to her house to repair like some technical electricity stuff. And the technician actually observed that she wasn't in the right mood, and she had been crying and she was very stressed because of phone call. So imagine the founder of crypto exchanges, they have to go through a lot of stress once these exchanges are being hacked. The good thing is that there are insurance catering to exchanges these days. So certain exchanges like Binance, they are actually insured. So if it's hacked, right, they can claim from insurance. Yeah, so this is something you can know. If you have Netflix subscription, there is actually this documentary, I think 30 minutes, is under Explain documentary and under cryptocurrency. You can actually go and watch it. Very interesting. Okay, so now let's talk about Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is like the mother of all cryptocurrencies. Okay, so let's take note that Bitcoin with a capital B, it refers to the Bitcoin protocol. Bitcoin with a lowercase b is Bitcoin, the currency. So usually when people say Bitcoin, it actually refers to different things. Is there a question? BTC, the grandfather. Yeah, I can say that. Or godfather. Okay, let's go on. Okay, Bitcoin at a glance. There are 3 important parts. If you notice my slides, right, I always talk about 3 points. There are actually a lot of points, but these 3 are the main things you need to know by heart. Okay, so number 1, peer-to-peer. The concept of Bitcoin was introduced in 2008. An anonymous programmer with an alias, Satoshi Nakamoto, introduced Bitcoin in early 2009. Introduce means actively promote. Think of it this way. He described it as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. This system is completely decentralized, which implies that no server is involved and does not require any central controlling authority. This concept can be linked to a peer-to-peer network for sharing files like BitTorrent. So the elegance of Bitcoin, as you will see later in the white paper, is that it follows a mathematical formula for consensus. We will talk about why it is so elegant as a mathematical formula. The thing is that not all consensus are like that. Some consensus are arbitrary. So when you look at the maths, right, maths is like, it's very hard to argue against maths. Maths is either yes or no. So go and read the paper, we'll discuss. Okay, number 2, cryptography. Bitcoin transactions are done through the blockchain, a public ledger of all transactions that have happened within the network. So the entire account balance can be seen by everyone in the network. You can just Google it, you can actually see who transferred how many Bitcoin to another party. So each transaction is a file which consists of the recipient's and sender public key, which is wallet addresses, as well as the amount of coin that's transferred. So the sender also needs to sign off with the transaction with the aid of their private key. Note that you should never let anyone know your private key. If someone asks for a private key, it's a scammer, okay? So don't give. So the transaction is then broadcasted in the network for confirmation. Number 3, mining. Only the miners can confirm transaction by solving a cryptographic puzzle within a cryptocurrency network. And for this reason, with the rise of quantum computing means computer that can solve puzzles at a very high speed like that. So within 1 minute, they get a lot of Bitcoin. So once you have very advanced quantum computing available to the masses, then blockchain as a technology, it might fail because of the speed at which quantum computers actually solve the math problem. So this is something to take note of, like blockchain technology might not be forever. It depends also on the advancement of quantum technology and how available this technology is to the masses. So individual nodes take the transaction and mark them as legitimate before sending across to the entire network. This is the proof of work system. So after that, each and every node of the network will add it to the database. Once the transaction has been confirmed, it will become irreversible, immutable, and the miner will receive a reward as well as the transaction fees. Okay, so we have gone through the 3 core points to blockchain at a glance, Bitcoin at a glance. So the next thing is that let's take a moment to think about the social, political, and economic implications of Bitcoin. Like, the history of it, right, is that Bitcoin started as an ideology. Then people started to say that, oh, it's used by criminals, which is not false. Traditionally, criminals have been using Bitcoin to transact over what they call a Silk Road and the dark web. So they do vices like child pornography, drugs, and use Bitcoin because it's relatively anonymous and your privacy is ensured. What they will see is only the sender address and the receiver's address. So like there's no KYC, right? So since there's no know your customer mechanism, you can keep your identity relatively anonymous. So the dark web criminals actually led to the development of Bitcoin. So you have a lot of like stakeholders who use Bitcoin because of the private and anonymous feature of Bitcoin. And then right now, just now as I shared in October, PayPal now say that, okay, we can use Bitcoin to pay for whatever the merchants accept. As long as the merchant accept PayPal, you can use Bitcoin to pay for the goods and services, which is a very big thing, right? So you can see that the Bitcoin has progressed a lot over these few years. So what are the social, political, and economic implications? The quotations are taken from this website called btctheory.com. It has a lot of very good articles, very ideologically inclined articles. So let's take a look at the quotes. So number 1, this new kind of money, referring to Bitcoin, serves not the interests of the banking and corporate elites or the corrupt government ministers who kowtow to them, but the people who control them alone. Why? Because it's peer-to-peer, as also the democratization of money. I can't pronounce. Yeah. So what this means is that because Bitcoin is coded by developers and anyone can actually become a node. If you want to become a node, you basically compete to be a node. using proof of work mechanism, buy a rig, and then install the software, and then you can start mining Bitcoin as long as your rig solves the cryptography puzzle in the consensus mechanism, which is a mathematical formula, right? So because anyone can participate in this system as long as they want to, there is a social impact to Bitcoin. And okay, next, political. So cryptocurrencies by their very nature are political because no single government can control them. For fiat currency, which is the paper currency, and the paper currency on the words, on the paper currency, you can see this note is legal tender. That is a fiat currency. Government can control, central bank can control. So whatever, let's say, whatever revenue you're getting as a business owner, whatever salary you are getting as an employee, yeah, you have inflation, definitely, because governments are printing money like crazy now. And this is the process called quantitative easing. Cryptocurrency cannot be printed by government at their own will. Actually, until recently, because China is doing their own, national currency now. So, okay, stablecoin is another matter, but let's talk about general cryptocurrency itself by non-governments. They cannot be controlled by government because if it is a true version of decentralized currency, right, it will be controlled by nodes, which is basically power to the people. Yeah, so you can see from developments, right, how governments and the elites want to game the system. So if you are elite and you know this kind of thing is happening, right, you will want your own coin as well. Something to think about. And JP Morgan, this morning I read, their blockchain division has already posted a profit. In 2018, the CEO of JP Morgan publicly stated that Bitcoin is a scam and blockchain is a scam. And today, JP Morgan blockchain division posted a profit. So you can make your own conclusions. What are they trying to do? If you can't beat them, really join them. Okay, number 3, economic. So this is why exiting from the fiat economy and using cryptocurrency is the most powerful form of protest that someone can take. Through using cryptocurrencies, we seize the greatest means of production in our society, the monetary system itself. So basically what this means is that it goes back to the concept of value. What is value? So how can, let's say as middle class, as laborers, right, you want to exchange your time for money or your talents for money. So if I want to control the transaction and the velocity of the exchange of values, right, then basically I just print more money. So actually it is not a benefit to the middle class people. It's only benefiting the person who print the money and the person who is the elite. That means that they already have a lot of things going for them and they already have a lot of money, a lot of resources for them to play. So Bitcoin is actually not a technical project. It has a lot of implications on society. More importantly, it is a viable alternative for people to reject the centralized system, the fiat currency, and to actually take some form of control into their hands. This question, will there be another version of Bitcoin? I really don't think so. Because of the consensus system, to create another consensus system that has a mathematical formula that is so elegant, right? I think it really takes a lot of time. Maybe there will be, but it's highly unlikely in my opinion. Okay, next let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum, like if there are 2 white papers you should read, it is Bitcoin, Ethereum. The difference between the core difference or the core improvement, so to speak, of Ethereum from Bitcoin is that the consensus process is not so environmentally draining. Bitcoin mining, right? Because of mining, it actually adds a lot of damage to global warming, and it takes a lot of resources. Ethereum, not so much. So Ethereum at a glance. So Ethereum is an open source public software platform focused on blockchain technology. It features smart contract functionalities and it enables developers to build and deploy decentralized applications. Decentralized applications is more like commonly known as the app. So the goal of Ethereum is to make use of blockchain to replace internet third parties. This includes those that store data, transfer mortgages, and track various kinds of financial activities. So Ethereum blockchain provides a cryptocurrency known as Ether. Vitalik developed this concept in 2013. So some people say Ether was developed from as early as 2009. Note that why it's so early, right? It's because Vitalik already has a very strong interest from when he was a teenager, and he was writing for Bitcoin magazine. So he's very on the ball with every development and very excited by it. So the Ethereum project came about as a result of his work, as well as research into the Bitcoin community. He was a writer and he was paid in Bitcoin. So is Ethereum similar to Bitcoin? What's the difference? So even though Ethereum and Bitcoin utilize blockchain technology, both protocols are different in the following ways. Number one, the Bitcoin blockchain allows anybody to track public addresses. Its only function is the recording of transactions. So there's no smart contract, there's no automation. Okay, wait, is there a question? Okay, yeah, thanks Gabriel, thanks for today. You can catch up. Any questions, just answer on the Facebook group. Thanks a lot. Okay, so Ethereum, on the other hand, focuses mainly on the running of the programming code of any decentralized application. So number two, Ethereum uses smart contracts, Bitcoin does not. Number three, Ethereum has Ethereum virtual machine, which is defined in the blockchain glossary document, Bitcoin does not. So EVM is a blockchain-based software platform. It allows developers to create decentralized applications. So the programmers value them for having no downtime and keeping all created objects safe from modifying. Okay, so for tutorial next Wednesday, right, we will study and discuss the Bitcoin and Ethereum white paper. So homework for today is to go and read it. Take note that both white papers are not technical. It's a myth that they are technical. If you see technical parts, you see a mathematical formula, just truck through with it, you'll be fine. We focus more on the implications of both papers. Okay, then next, let's talk about altcoins. What are altcoins? After the creation of Bitcoin in 2009, the first altcoin is Litecoin. Came out 2 years later in October 2011. So Litecoin was created by this guy called Charlie. He was an ex-Google employee. And he created Litecoin because he wanted a faster transaction. So after that, altcoin launches grew at an increasing rate from 2013 to 2014. So the trend went on until today. So as of October 2020, there's a total of 7,500 cryptocurrencies in the market. So altcoin classification. So first, how you want to understand altcoin is to look at market capitalization. This means the unitary cost of the coin multiplied by the number of coins in circulation. So another altcoin classification can rely on altcoin genealogy to see how they are related to each other. So there are a lot of Bitcoin-like alternatives which started from Bitcoin basics with some changes through a fork. Let me show you all. So you can go to CoinMarketCap, right, and check. So Bitcoin here, number 1. Then you have Bitcoin SV, number 10. There will be other things like Bitcoin Gold. So funny, no more Bitcoin already. Okay, Bitcoin Gold, number 73. So everything that has a name of Bitcoin, right, is actually considered as a fork. So what happened in a fork is that at the fork place, developers decide that they don't want to agree on the previous consensus anymore. So the previous consensus, developers who still want to agree, right, go on this route. And then the developers who don't agree go on route number B. So they are actually separated. This is what is called a fork. So the fight between Bitcoin Core and Bitcoin Cash has been well documented, for example. Bitcoin Cash is a brainchild of Roger Ver. Roger Ver is an early adopter and supporter of Bitcoin. So basically, because of the fork, a lot of people got airdrop. Let's say I hold 10 Bitcoin at a point in the fork, right? So Bitcoin Cash Bitcoin Cash founder and project developers will actually airdrop Bitcoin Cash to everyone who holds Bitcoin. So what this means is that people basically get free money through the airdrop. So forks are in general, because of the airdrop, good for people who hold the original currency. However, because of the airdrop as well, sometimes the original currency value might also drop. We also have Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, so that's something to take note of. If we look at the altcoins, we can see that many of them come from a fork of famous as well as long-lasting cryptocurrencies, such as Bitcoin, Litecoin, as well as Ethereum. However, every altcoin has something unique, so it includes differences in scripting language, transaction features, additional features of security, mining based or not, with different consensus algorithms. Okay, then we have the different types of crypto assets. Okay, a lot of people get confused between coin and token, so let's go back to the definition again. Coin. A coin is a kind of crypto asset which operates independently of other platforms. So a coin has its own platform. So for instance, the platform of Bitcoin is blockchain. There is no difference whatsoever between a coin and a crypto coin / altcoin. A coin is used as an abbreviation of crypto coin. So altcoins are coins which serve as alternatives to Bitcoin. So most of the altcoins are variants of Bitcoin or are inspired by Bitcoin. So they are also built with the aid of Bitcoin's open source original platform by making changes to the underlying codes. So this results in the creation of a brand new coins which has different features. Okay, then in contrast to coin, right, there is token. So tokens are mainly used as a representation of a particular asset or utility which resides on top of another blockchain. So any assets which are fungible and tradable is represented by a token, and they include commodities, loyalty points, as well as crypto assets. So the term fungible means that every unit of the commodity and good is uniform, interchangeable, and substitutable, like cash for cash, coin for coin, and gold for gold. So one unit of $1 is, you can, let's say I have a $1 coin, Singapore coin, I can change with your $1 Singapore coin. This is fungible. It's the same thing. It represents the same thing. This is a token. Okay, so the difference between a coin and token, right, is that the main purpose of a coin is to act as money, a unit of account, a store of value, and medium of transfer. So coins tend to take the form of native blockchain tokens like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ether, and Ethereum. So tokens likewise have value, but they cannot be considered as money the same way as a coin. Tokens are generally hosted on another blockchain like Ethereum, Waves. So these blockchains will allow the users to create tokens using the core coin. So tokens likewise offer functionality over that of digital cash. They may deliver values to the investors beyond speculative returns like utility token. So usually for ICO, right, if people want to avoid regulation, they will say that their ERC20 token is actually a token. It's actually a utility token and not a security token. So in all the presentations, right, they cannot promise returns at all, because once returns is promised, it will fail the Howey's test. Howey's test means that if I buy something, nobody can promise me a return, because once the return is promised, it is security token. So that's something we need to take note of. Okay, then we have different types of crypto assets on the blockchain platform. Three very simple ones. Using Ethereum as a focal point, okay? So any currency that does not have a physical representation and resides on a set of computer system is called a digital currency. Number one, Ethereum. One of the outstanding features of Ethereum is that it includes smart contracts. Smart contracts are contracts, like we mentioned previously, which have been pre-programmed with a set of definitive rules, as well as regulations that are self-executing without requiring any intermediaries. So this is currently the most popular blockchain protocol to build on, as well as issue their native tokens, with more than 1,500 projects currently residing on its blockchain. Usually, people will use ERC20 because it's a set of rules that are already approved and is very well defined. So people accept that ERC20 is relatively safe regulation-wise. Number two is NEO. NEO is known as the Chinese Ethereum. So NEO has the aim of developing more extensive functionalities for the development of the apps and smart contracts. So when compared to Ethereum, NEO has a different consensus mechanisms, smart contract gas system, governance model, as well as a different approach towards the adoption in the real world. Number 3 is Zilliqa. Zilliqa is actually Singapore-based. So it's a high throughput blockchain, which is developing a new approach of sharding so as to solve the main issue of scalability in the blockchain space. So Zilliqa basically make use of sidechains. Like Ethereum has a problem of scalability. So Zilliqa is actually trying to solve the problem that Ethereum had like around 3 years ago. So think about it. If Zilliqa doesn't do good partnerships or entrench its own influence in the industry, it will actually be wiped out by Ethereum itself, because Ethereum already has a Casper solution, which actually helped them to scale. So once Ethereum succeeds, right, Zilliqa might well be gone. But it won't be gone now because they have very strong partnerships with strategic people and companies, stakeholders in Singapore. So it's still okay. So Zilliqa blockchain has been able to process 2,400 transactions per second and is linearly scalable with the number of nodes. So they're also trying to integrate like privacy features to the blockchain. Okay, so blockchain applications. Applications are like apps. So number 1, DApp. So to be classified as a DApp, right, it is crucial for an application to meet the following criteria. Number 1, you need to be open source. The source of code is the source code of app is available to all, meaning that you can actually Google online for it. Number 2, decentralized. It actually uses cryptography technology. Number 3, incentive. The app has crypto tokens for fueling itself. Number 4, algorithm. So it generates tokens and also has an inbuilt consensus mechanism. The second blockchain application is Kin, K-I-N. Kin is not very popular these days, but it is also an app. So Kin is one of the first bi-directional migrations, and the transaction of Kin will now take place side by side on both the Stellar Lumens and Ethereum blockchain. This is a great move because it will help to enhance the speed while continuing to provide liquidity. So Kin is actually like a digital token used on the app, the Kin app. So why it wants to be a cryptocurrency instead of digital currency is because it uses blockchain and it wants to be decentralized. And also to raise money, basically. Okay, number 3, ERC20. So ERC20 is referred to as the list of rules for all Ethereum tokens to follow. This implies that this particular token empowers developers of all types to accurately predict how new tokens will function within a larger Ethereum ecosystem. So notice here that ERC20 is actually an ecosystem, and when people do fundraising, ERC20 is one of the most legit ones because it's recognized. So the more Ethereum ecosystem grows, right, the higher the value of Ether will be. So because of the ERC20 protocol, projects do not need to be redone each time a token is released. So this is because the ERC20 protocol is designed to be compatible with the new tokens, provided that tokens adhere to the ERC20 rules. Okay, then we take a look at the different types of tokens. Generally, there are 4 types. There are more types, more than 4, but these are the maybe 95% of all tokens. Number 1, equity tokens. This is one of the most promising applications of Ethereum-based smart contracts. Not a lot of people are using it currently, but I just want to point it out because once this can be done, it will be very revolutionary and maybe even a threat to the stock market. So equity tokens provide the potential for startups to issue stock or equity tokens via initial coin offerings. This will also make the average investor access stock and allow the shareholders to take an active role in corporate governance because you can now vote with your token. And voting can also be conducted very transparently via the blockchain technology. Okay, number 2, utility token, which is what a lot of project claims to have. Utility token can be referred to as app tokens or app coins, and they provide the users with access to a service or product. So most tokens may be regarded as security tokens because they include a speculative element. However, even though they are considered as security token, they are never going to say that. So they will say that they're utility token. Generally, if you have an app or a service or a product, it's generally safe to say that you're a utility token. Just do not promise returns in any of your sales pitch because that would render it as security tokens. Okay, number 3, security tokens. A security is a broad classification which refers to any form of tradable assets. So the investor have access to a wide variety of security tokens through the ICO, and this range from coins redeemable for precious metals to tokens which are backed by real estate. So you can actually tokenize a building, you can tokenize luxury goods. By the way, Adidas is a project which tokenized luxury goods. So it actually happened, and I think they raised more than $1 million in 2017. So number 4, community tokens. So the term community token is a relatively new term in the blockchain world. This term implies that the value is driven by the network and the community via the network effect. So there's a new innovative concept on minimum viable community as opposed to the regular startup term of minimum viable product. What this means is that if the community size grows beyond a certain number, the value of the token will increase exponentially. Okay, at this point, right, do we have any questions? Oh, I just saw that. Any example of the various tokens? Paul, which token are you talking about? Various token. Because, sorry, I just saw the message.
No. Just now you just explained about the 4 types of tokens to help us understand. Maybe you can give us an example, and then I can make the link.
Okay, can. Thank you for your question. Yeah, let me go back. Okay, so equity token, currently it is not really used yet. It's a potential. Yeah, one of the most promising application. Why I listed it as the first one is because it's disruptive. So once the smart contract function on Ethereum becomes more established, and people can start issuing equity token, it will disrupt the startup world. And potentially the correlation is that people might switch from the traditional stock market to the equity market. Okay. Number 2, utility token. In our current class, right, there is one group of people doing their own utility token, and the project is based on dementia. So dementia and mental wellness. So they will be creating an app. Andre, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? They will be creating an app, and the utility token will be used on the app. So how it is recognized when they are doing the ICO is that they are actually pre-selling the token at a lower price to the audience or to people who want to buy it. And the tokens can be used on the app itself. So this is the meaning of utility tokens. Other than that, most ICO projects that involve an app will call themselves a utility token. KIN just now, the example KIN. The history of KIN is like that. So they have an app, right? And let me show you. Okay, so KIN, right? So you see, they have KIN apps here. So all these belong to KIN, KIN, and all these apps you can use KIN as well. So they can develop, let's say, Tepatalk. Tepatalk is for communication and social. It's like WhatsApp. So you can actually use KIN cryptocurrency to actually pay for certain premium features on the Tepatalk. So in this case, right, because you can use the currency on the app, it's called a utility token. Most ICO will say that they're utility token. Okay, security tokens, right, are basically, let's say if we, let me show you Aditus, okay? Let's spell this way, luxury. This one is very fluff. Aditus is a bit in the gray area because Aditus Pay, they say that they are comprehensive payment gateway solution. Aditus is the Aditus Pay is the gateway payment gateway solution, whatever it means, okay? And then Adidas is the coin, right? However, so basically what this means is that you can actually use Adidas coin to actually rent a yacht, or the founders actually can buy a yacht and then tokenize the yacht. So like, let's say I buy a boat for $50,000, I can actually tokenize it by saying that one Adidas token represents 1/100 of the boat. So if I frame it this way, right, then it becomes security token. If I just say that you can pay per use, right, then Adidas token become a utility token. So what I'm trying to say here, right, is that the segregation between utility token and security token is, in general, how you phrase it, how you structure your argument. Yeah, that will differ utility and security. In general, there's this thing called Howey's law. Let me show Howey's. Spell where? Yeah, so Howey's test, right? And investment of funds includes provision of capital, cash, asset, goods, services, and promissory note. So since buyers of token or coin pay for them cryptocurrency, there's investment of fund in exchange for the token and coin. So basically, in order to avoid being classified as a security token, because once you are classified as a security token, you need to be regulated. Then basically, you have to insist that this coin, people buy it, not for speculation. There is no return. We don't guarantee return. And you can use it like fiat currency to exchange for goods and services. Okay, next example is community token, right? Andre, you asked the question. Basically, you remember the project Hotcoin? Yeah, Hotcoin is a community token. Yeah, surprising, right? Hotcoin is actually okay. The difference between community token and utility token is utility token is usually by business, which is that they are very profit driven. Community token can be for fun. That means the gaming industry, let's say you want to do a ERC-721 coin. Let's say gamers lah. You know, gamers got competitive gamers like here, let me. Oh my god, there's a token named community token. Collective tutor. Okay, let's take a look at this now, okay? So funny. Okay, so community token, basically the gist of it is that it leverages on the wisdom of the crowd. That means everyone must agree. The consensus majority is higher than 51% for sure. And then they say that with crazy random tokens with no value, actually super hot right now, they tend to 20x, then crash to zero. So community token, this brand new project, right, basically use the wisdom of the community to actually see due diligence. So they will collectively do due diligence on the emerging investment opportunities. So community token, they do not start out with a profit-making objective in mind as opposed to utility token. One community token I personally hold is this one. This community is crazy because I took so much effort. It's actually on my laptop, the wallet. I take so much effort to go and boot camp the wallet, you know, like I installed it from scratch, which is so painful. So Dapps coin is a community token because it's not intended to be profit driven. It's driven first priority as ideology, which is privacy. So I hold a lot of this coin, which is a community token. So you can take a look at it. I'm going to post it in the chat. Yeah, thanks, Andre. Andre, as long as you have a good or service or app, right, use the utility token. If there are scam projects, right, like one we know very well of, then if we cannot really pinpoint what it is, usually it is a security token because or usually it's just a scam lah, because they want to promise returns to the people ma. Yeah, so that is. Paul, I hope that answers your question. Basically, we just need to practice, we just need to do due diligence lah, whenever it comes to the coin. No lah, Andre. Okay, great. So, okay, we come to the end of the lecture. Now, let me give some announcements. Everyone is actually in the group already, so I'll skip this. I wrote this like yesterday when one person is not in the group. So, additional supplementary materials are already uploaded into a Facebook group, Blockchain Glossary. If I would strongly encourage everyone to print it so that you can refer to it from time to time. I guarantee you that once you know the 100 terms, right, you can go into any networking event and you can basically catch like 95% of the conversation there. So mining.pdf, mining is a function that keeps the blockchain protocol secure. So it is important to have a good understanding of mining as well. We cannot cover it due to time constraints in these 2 hours. So please go and read it. So there's a homework for Wednesday tutorial. Go and read the Bitcoin white paper and the Ethereum white paper. The gist of it is to get everyone to understand that both white papers are not technical white papers. They are not technical, okay? There are numbers on it, there are code on it, but they are not technical white paper. You need to get a business, society, and governance understanding of it through the white paper. Bitcoin white paper is so elegantly written. So I really hope that everyone takes the time to read it. So we will discuss our thoughts on the white papers on Wednesday tutorial, 8 to 9 p.m. via Zoom. It's the same link. Then meanwhile, any questions you have, please ask on the Facebook group. I will answer within 48 hours. You can ask anything you want. Not related to the program also can, as long as it's on blockchain or cryptocurrency. Okay, any other final questions before we end this session? Okay, if not, then I'll see you on Wednesday, and any questions, just feel free to ask. Okay, that's the end of today's session. Thank you so much for